In this video, I'm going to be going over how I'm going to set up my Blender. In this case, I'm actually setting this up on my laptop, so it's pretty much a fresh install. I started off by doing the 4.1 version from Steam, so I already have that set up. Over here, I have where the actual files are, so I'm going to go on in and download the Halo Blender toolkit from the description. Going to download the zip file. In order to install our Halo toolkit, we downloaded the zip file. We have the IO scene Halo. We're going to drag that into our Blender 4.1 scripts add-on. Now, if you don't know where this is, you can easily go into your Steam. You can manage, browse local files, and that will pull this up. And then you can just go in there. Okay, so launching it for the first time, I'm going to use the right click for selecting because that's just how I've always done it. Spacebar, I always just personally keep for playing for the timeline, and I'm just going to keep all of that. Now, next up, I'm going to change a couple of the settings beforehand. So I'm going to change this. I'm going to change this. Since I'm mainly using this for Halo, I kind of need the end to be a little bit further out. We're going to go ahead and check our add-ons. So our preferences, we're going to check add-ons. We're going to do Halo Toolkit. Since we already have that in there, we're going to enable that. Now we're going to also look up just a few that are very important, like Node Wrangler. That one's a good one. Then we will also use ANT landscapes. I'm going to enable that one as well, because those are probably the three that I use the most. There's plenty of others that you could still use, but those are just the main ones I use. Next, I'm going to look around for key bindings. Then we're going to look for navigation. So this is something I use all the time. It's automatically set to shift in one of the console keys. So I always change it to shift F because back when I did this, this is just how the shortcut was already set up back then. You don't necessarily have to do that, but that's just my personal preference. So next up, we're going to pretty much get this scene ready. Because if we get this scene ready, we can go here to defaults, save startup file, then this file will be saved. So a few things that I like to do is I'm going to add a bunch of my shortcuts in. So if I go into edit mode, we're going to start by adding some of these for quick favorites because I use these ones fairly often. Then we will do up here, we can change for that. Probably do grid fill as well. Then we're pretty much just going down the list, looking for what we can mainly use, because there are certain ones that I just use more than others. So this is another one I would always use normals for flip. Okay, so we're gonna also come into here. We're going to check some of this stuff. So the edge length, I actually have a shortcut for that, which is Alt-2 for edge length. Then over here for face orientation, I have a quick shortcut for F3. Then over here for correct face attributes, I will not only put that in my quick favorites, but I will also assign it Alt-4. I will set this to vertex because most of the time I use the magnet and vertex anyways. Coming up here, set origin to geometry. I'm going to add that to quick favorites, add that to the quick favorites. I'm going to have import FBX to the quick favorites, quick favorites, quick favorites, quick favorites. And then exporting, I'm going to add a shortcut. So let's see, I believe it for the as files, I had Control Shift E. For animations, I had Control Shift Control Shift M. For the JMS, Control Shift J. And then those are the main ones that I personally use. I would definitely recommend changing however you want your rendering settings to be. I'm not necessarily going to mess with that right now. I don't really mess too much with the rendering, and I'm not really going to be using the render mode on this as much. So in this case, I don't necessarily need to set this up for the startup just yet, but you might want to for future use because it will definitely save you some time in the long run. So another thing that we're going to do is we're going to add over here in the edges to some quick favorites. So we're going to mark sharp for quick favorites, clear sharp for quick favorites. Another good one we're going to want to add to quick favorites is merge by distance because that one gets used quite a bit, along with dissolve edges, but that one's really more optional since you can just hit X to get the same menu up. That is the majority of what I end up doing for setting this up because obviously we still have our Halo tools all over here. So if we really want to, we can, automatically change this to whatever we're going to be using right at the start. And then we can always set up our Halo properties in the scene and whatnot so that when we export it, it'll automatically export for whatever we're actually going for. So in here, Halo scene properties, AS file, Halo 3, and then maybe JMA since Halo 3 is what I use, and then JMS, Halo 3 again, and the rest of that is kind of just, I don't use most of this other stuff, but if you do want to use it, you can. Now that I'm pretty much set up for most to everything, there's only a few more things that I can really think of, which is adding cavity and adding it to both. This helps more with trying to see the edges and stuff when you're modeling and you don't necessarily have shaders on. That's pretty much all I do in order to set up my Blender file. So I'm going to come over here, save startup file, yes. So then when I open this again, it'll just automatically come up to this and I'll be able to start working on it. Now, of course, all of these other menus, since I didn't mess with any of them, they would automatically still have the old settings. So like the render distance and everything, you'd have to double check all of those if you want everything to be how you want it. But this will save you a lot of time when you're starting making files. So hopefully this video helped. This is just kind of how I set up in Blender, but hopefully this video helped because this is the first time I'm setting this up on my computer, for this computer at least. So stay tuned for more videos. Peace out.